Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back for episode 4 of Can You Beat Pokemon Red with a Single Weedle? Last episode we got our 4th badge by beating Erica, took down Giovanni for the Silph Scope, got scared by some ghosts but we saved Mr. Fuji anyway. Our Weedle is at level 50 now, but we have some huge battles coming up, so let's get into the run. Our first order of business is going to be flying back to Celadon so we can do some shopping. I sell off most of our extra items and stock up on X specials. The reason we want X specials is for Koga's gym. Why do we need them for Koga's gym if it's poison type? Well, I'm glad you asked. The issue with Koga's gym isn't actually Koga at all. For some unknown reason, the trainers in his gym have psychic type Pokemon, which not only is super effective against Weedle, but Weedle's worst stat by far is its special, so we will most likely get one shot even with our huge level advantage. I'm going to quickly go beat the fighting gym, and while that's rolling in the background, let's talk about what lies ahead. Well, right now we have to go to Fuchsia City, and Koga will be the next gym leader that we fight, but there's 2 paths to get there and lots of trainers in each. We're going to want to fight as many trainers as we possibly can, hence why I'm doing this optional gym. I don't want to give away the next episode, but you can get the last 3 badges by only fighting 2 extra battles beyond the gym leaders. Then it's on to Victory Road and the Elite 4. We are much closer to the end than it would seem, and level 50 is clearly not going to cut it. To kick off this miniature grinding session, we're going to take what I call the water path first. It's the path south of Lavender Town. The type matchups are much better here for our Weedle, and the Pokemon are a little lower leveled. The majority of the trainers have water Pokemon with a few other random types mixed in, but the matchups are far better than the bike path. The bike path has stronger Pokemon, many of which are poison types, so it's just easier for us to take that path second. The worst thing that can happen on the water path is Weedle getting put to sleep by Poliwag, but since we can use items in this run, we can just play the Poke Flute to wake up. After fighting a majority of the trainers on the water path and getting Weedle up to level 53, it's time to make our way to the bike path and train over there. The bike path has quite a few tough matchups, but we should be able to get through most of them without using any extra items, which is the goal. Right now we're trying to build up funds and save money for the end game. Or maybe not even the end game, but to get through the remaining gyms. I fought quite a few trainers on the bike path and we leveled up Weedle to 54, and then we make our way to Fuchsia City. Fuchsia has a bit to do to further the story, but there's absolutely nothing important to show in the Safari Zone since there's no battles, so let's skip to Koga's gym so we can see those psychic matchups that I was talking about earlier. The very first battle is a Juggler with 2 Drowsy and a Kadabra. The first Drowsy, which is only level 31, takes us down to half HP before we can knock it out. The Juggler then sends out his second Drowsy and quickly switches to Kadabra that just annihilates us in one confusion. Granted, I didn't use any items that attempt, but I wanted to see just how awful the psychic types were going to be. For the second attempt, I start the battle by setting up with some X specials, and we take a brutal critical hit confusion from Drowsy. The Juggler switches to his second Drowsy and stops attacking, which is perfect for us to finish our setup. Once he finally attacks with confusion, he does a whopping 12 damage, so you can see the difference using X specials makes. Granted, we have to use quite a few of them. Now that we're all Super Saiyan, we can just 2-shot all of his Pokemon, and we only get down to yellow health. As we continue fighting the trainers in Koga's gym, let's talk about the bigger picture. Our Weedle is 20 to 25 levels stronger than some of these Pokemon? And we have to power up a ton before we're strong enough to take them down, which in and of itself isn't a huge deal, but the problem is that we're burning through money super fast, and there's no way to guarantee money in Gen 1 until the Elite 4. There's also the fact that these are some low-level Pokemon using some of the weakest Psychic moves in the game. What's going to happen when it's an Alakazam using Psychic? There's also this little thing in Gen 1 where if a move critical hits, it ignores all buffs. Even if we are fully buffed, there's still a chance we can get one shot by any critical hit. But for now, we get past the trainers and it's time to take on Koga himself, who doesn't have any Psychic Pokemon. But what Koga does have, however, is poison Pokemon, and just an extremely annoying strategy that he uses. He essentially tries to make it so your accuracy is lowered and his Pokemon's evasion is raised so you just can't hit him. He leads off with a level 37 Coughing and immediately goes for Smokescreen, which lowers our accuracy. The nice thing about Coughing though is that it can't poison us and it can't really inflict a ton of damage, so we can buff up our Weedle. For this battle, I'm going to use X attacks as well because we can't poison his Pokemon, so we have to do as much damage as we can with just Poison Sting. Coughing hits us with 3 smoke screens throughout the battle, so we're gonna miss a ton of attacks for the rest of this fight. When we do finally land an attack, we do about a quarter damage, which is pretty awful considering how boosted we are and how much higher level we are. We also hit with a couple critical hits and they just do almost nothing. Critical hits ignore all stat buffs, even our own, so we actually don't want those. But eventually, after a bunch of nothing, we knock Coughing out. Muck is up next and is probably the Pokemon I'm most concerned with. Muck knows Minimize, which will raise his evasiveness, and we just won't be able to hit him. Koga is also boosting his attack with X attacks. Muck uses Disable, which is concerning since we only have one attacking move, but luckily it disables String Shot. Once we finally land a hit, it does about a quarter damage, which isn't too bad, but Muck hits a couple sludges, and one's a critical hit that nearly wipes us out. I essentially gave up on the battle at this point, and then for some reason Muck just stops attacking. He spams Disable a bunch of times and a Poison Gas, and even though he disables Poison Sting, it only lasted one turn and we were able to knock it out. Really weird fight, but another Coughing is up next, and I've given up on the battle, but let's play it out and see if we need to tweak the strategy at all. Coughing and I waste a ton of turns pretty much doing nothing. He hits me with a couple tackles throughout, but it does a whopping 3 HP of damage, and after far too many turns for my sanity, we actually knock it out. Wheezing is out last, and I still haven't healed because like I said, I kinda gave up on this fight during the Muck battle. But his Wheezing comes out and uses Self-Destruct, which knocks itself out, and as long as we survive, we win. And we do, with 11 HP. What the f was that? I love Gen 1 so much. You can train, have a strategy all planned out, and then something like this happens. Anyway, we have to go back to Saffron City and take on Silph Co. There's surprisingly very few mandatory trainer battles here given how large the building is, but we do have Rival 5 here, and he's a notorious roadblock for many challenge runs. His Pokemon have leveled up a ton and evolved, but since we're here, let's see how it goes. Pidgeot is first up, and since the rival has good AI, he's going to exclusively use wing attacks, so it leaves us no choice but to start using X specials immediately to help us survive. His crits still hurt, and I can only get a few X specials up before I realize that I forgot to buy stronger potions, so I'm stuck using just super potions for now. Pidgeot goes on to hit quite a few critical hits, and we just can't heal fast enough before fainting. I'm going to try this fight one more time, but I'm going to poison Pidgeot first before using the X specials to see if that extra bit of damage can carry us. We get far better crit luck this time with Pidgeot, and the poison whittles his HP down enough for me to be able to heal up and still deal damage at the same time. We knock it out with a good amount of health left. The rival then uses Execute, and this time his good AI is going to help us out. Since Reflect is a psychic move and psychic is technically super effective against us, Execute is going to spam it the whole fight, which is the perfect opportunity for us to finish off our buffs. It doesn't take long to finish off Execute after buffing up, and the rival sends out Gyarados next. We take Gyarados down to half HP and get a poison with 1 Poison Sting, and then he uses Hydro Pump. This is the real test, and it only does 20 damage. We might actually have a chance here. We get an unlucky crit on our next Poison Sting, but he misses with Hydro Pump so we can knock out Gyarados. The rival sends out Alakazam next, and we nearly one-shot it before he responds with Confusion, which shouldn't be too bad. Are you kidding me? It crit. I really thought we were going to win that fight. But anyway, I'm going to try again, but this time I'm just going to knock out the Pidgeot as fast as possible and use the free battle against Execute to finish our setup and heal. We get all 6 of our X attacks and X specials, then knock Execute out with just 2 hits. This time Gyarados uses Bite and Hydro Pump, but doesn't cause much of an issue before we knock it out in 3 Poison Stings. Now this time with Alakazam we actually do get the one shot, and lastly is our rival's Charizard. Our Poison Sting does a little over a third, and his Ember doesn't do much, and that should be the only move he uses, so we can cruise to victory barring we don't get critical hit. And we don't, so down goes Rival 5. I never imagined seeing a Weedle take down a Gyarados, one-shotting an Alakazam, and bullying a Charizard all back to back in my life, but here we are. After the rival battle, we grab Lapras so we can teach it Surf and Strength, and unfortunately we do have to make a pit stop for some heals since there's a random rocket trainer before we get to Giovanni, and we just don't have enough potions to make it through both fights. After that quick detour, we're on to Giovanni. He leads off with Nidorino, and this is as good as any to set up against. Nidorino can't do a ton of damage to us, and we're going to need the attack boost for the rest of his lineup, so I set up with X attacks and we knock it out after a lengthy battle due to Fury attack. Giovanni uses Kangaskhan next, and it immediately uses Rage, which is terrible in Gen 1, so it only takes a few turns for us to win that fight. Next is Rhyhorn, and we hit it pretty hard with Poison Sting, but I'm more surprised with the damage Stomp is doing to us. We're forced to heal, but we make it through without too much of an issue before he sends out Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen wasn't doing much other than using Scratch and Tail Whip, and Weedle was whittling it down, and then all of a sudden we take a Body Slam that leaves us with 3 HP. We heal up and take one more Body Slam, but we have enough HP left to finish it off. That didn't go as smoothly as I thought it would, since Giovanni is normally kind of a non-factor, so I might have to take him a little more seriously next time around. But that's gonna do it for episode 4. We had some brutal fights this run against Koga, our rival, and Giovanni, but we earned our 5th badge and leveled up all the way to 57 and sent Team Rocket blasting out of Saffron City. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and I will see you next week for episode 5. Peace.